NMH at 1 highlights the news making waves ranging from current affairs to community stories, sports and economic news. Here are the headlines we're looking at. Social Security Commission launches fraud hotline. Namibia making progress in securing Middle East beef market. And NHE is keen to enter the informal market. My name is Ashwyn Mberi. Do make sure you follow all our programs on oneup2.com or DSTV 285 or GoTV 25 in Namibia. Let's swing over to the midday news update. Now, the pre-sentencing proceedings of convicted murderer Ernst Lichtenstrasser was brought to a halt today when his legal representative withdrew. Now, Lichtenstrasser has filed a special application since his conviction on 2 November. Proceedings were postponed to tomorrow after he indicated to Judge Christine Liebenberg that he was feeling unwell. Visual News highlights local stories from across Namibia right after the break. Stay with NMH at 1.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Now, the Social Security Commission launched its customer service charter and fraud hotline this morning in Windhoek. Now, it is said to be a blueprint to provide excellent and timely services to stakeholders, while the fraud hotline is aimed at fostering a secure environment to address any concerns related to fraudulent activities. Speaking at the launch, chairperson of the SSC board, Dr. David Uirab, emphasized the importance of these two initiatives. This video is courtesy of Wetumwene Shikage.
We take a momentous step forward today in our commitment to enhancing the lives of the Namibian workforce. Our core values, rooted in being customer-centric, promoting innovation, upholding integrity, and demonstrating resilience, guide our every action. Ladies and gentlemen, moreover, I am also pleased to introduce the Social Security Fraud Hotline, a vital component of our society, of our strategy to maintain zero tolerance for fraudulent and corrupt activities. The hotline with the number 0800 666666. I repeat, 0800 6666 serves as a direct channel for reporting any misconduct that is observed by any member of our society. When you see any of us from the board, management, or members or the staff members of the commission engaging in activities that are untoward. By promoting accountability and vigilance, we aim to safeguard the funds entrusted to us and maintain the highest standards of governance.
Stay with us as we head into the newspaper review after the break.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
In the newspaper review, Defense Minister Frans Kapofi says his ministry is pursuing individuals who received 2.5 million Namibian dollars from military company August 26 Logistics for the purchase of military equipment. The monies were paid over to supplier Penda Enterprises to enable it to procure military equipment under supposed confidential circumstances. Now, following a request made to August 26 Logistics Board chairperson at the time, Major General Petrus Natinge had those words to say. Education Ministry Executive Director Sanet Steenkamp has clarified that there is no directive from the ministry for parents in Rehoboth to pay a $50 million registration fee for the 2024 academic year. She, however, added that they are aware that some schools have requested a fee for administration purposes. Steenkamp responded to a letter some Rehoboth schools issued to parents notifying them that they have to re-register their children for primary school for the 2024 school year. Now, the Groot-Alb residents are up in arms over the city of Windhoek's colossal failure to turn things around after it took over administration of the settlement. Now, some community members have demanded that Groot-Alb be restored to settlement status, while others want government instead to hand them over to the Xhomamnini Traditional Authority to be managed as a communal area. During a heated community meeting on Sunday afternoon, the community members said their living conditions have deteriorated drastically since the city's involvement, adding that they have been without water for a week. Now, Rehoboth Mayor Amanda Groenewald says land delivery remains a major challenge because of skyrocketing servicing costs. Speaking at the two-day Land Management and Housing Development Conference, which was in Rehoboth, she said the town is slowly making progress despite these obstacles. She said the town has resolved to provide parcels of land to more than 1,000 beneficiaries in the Burgershoek and Volstruisvlakte informal settlements. The 400 square meter plots will cost 10,000 Namibian dollars, and beneficiaries are required to pay monthly installments of about 200 Namibian dollars over 4 years. Now, according to Finance Minister Ipumbu Shimi, the state will be able to record higher tax revenues in the rest of the current year. The key interest rate increases this year also led to the rise in interest rates on debt. Here is an overview in brief. According to the Algemene Zeitung's front page, with further reports that the state budget for 2023 to 25 provides for 84.4 billion Namibian dollars divided into 66.1 billion for current expenditures, 6.5 billion for development projects, 10 for debt repayment, and 2 billion financed outside the budget. On its page 2, AZ reports that the Minister of Agriculture, Carl Schleitvine, has called for the implementation of the Nairobi Declaration at the so-called Water Week in Cairo shortly before the upcoming climate summit COP28 in Dubai. Now, this serves as a guideline for all the measures needed to tackle the climate crisis, the financial and debt crisis, and the development crisis in Africa. Stay with us as we swing over to the Namibian after the break.
To another exciting episode of Irongo Talk. Jullie is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt.
Now, the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia is charging suspended Managing Director Emmanuel Shilunga with fraud involving 123 million Namibian dollars, breaching his employment contract and allegedly leaking information to the Namibian. Mulunga is reportedly facing 3 charges, with 2 emanating from the controversial Sonangol deal, in which NAMCO paid $6.7 million on behalf of third parties to buy into an oil well owned by the Angolan state-owned oil company. Now, the president of the Popular Democratic Movement, McHenry Venani, is urging Iceland's Prime Minister Katrín Jakobsdóttir to reconsider a proposed renewable energy grant worth 100 million Icelandic krona, which is 131 million Namibian dollars, to the fish rot tainted fishing company Samergi. President Hage Geingob has expressed concern over the proliferation of traditional authorities and disputes among them in the country. Geingob conveyed his message through Vice President Nangolo Mbumba during the opening of the 24th annual meeting of the Council of Traditional Leaders, which began in Swakopmund. Now on New Era's page 3, Defense and Veterans Affairs Minister Frans Kapofi has said his ministry continues to integrate the veterans of the liberation struggle into the socio-economic mainstream through various programs. During a cabinet committee briefing yesterday, Kapofi said over 18,000 veterans are presently receiving financial support from the Ministry of Defense and Veterans Affairs in the form of 2,200 Namibian dollars monthly payment. On to Market Watch. A total of 922 new vehicles were sold in October, a decline of 12.5% month-on-month from the 1,054 sold in September and 7.5% less than the 997 sold in October last year, according to IJG Securities. Year to date, 10,774 new vehicles have been sold, of which 5,274 were passenger vehicles, 4,839 light commercial vehicles, and 661 medium and heavy commercial vehicles. In comparison, a total of 8,929 new vehicles were sold by October last year and 7,938 were sold by October 2021. Now, the Agriculture Ministry says it has made significant progress in securing Middle Eastern market access for Namibian meat and meat products. Stay with NMH at 1 as we head into economic news.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with the entertainment.
Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
All right, the Agriculture Ministry says it has made significant progress in securing Middle Eastern market access for Namibian meat and meat products. Executive Director Ndiakupi Ngituwamata said the ministry undertook a mission to the United Arab Emirates and Qatar in July for market exploration for the exportation of Namibian meat from both north and south of the veterinary cordon fence. She said the delegation held trade negotiation meetings with veterinary authorities in the UAE, as well as the Qatari Ministry of Public Health, to discuss important requirements to export Namibian meat to those markets. Ngituwamata said the visit negotiated successfully on the import requirements for beef exports from export-approved abattoirs in the northern communal areas to Qatar, and the exportation of beef and lamb from the south of VCF to the UAE. Let's swing over to the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 18.70 next to the US dollar, not changing much of its value there. 20.05 Namibian dollars gets you 1 euro, with 22.95 getting you 1 British pound. Most selected NSX stock closing prices maintained their value. Namibia Asset Management Limited still on 0.70 points. We start to see more color now. Oryx Properties, Trustco Group Holdings, as well as the local index closed in the red, but the overall index managed a 0.18% uptick. Gold and platinum managed some upsurges of 0.06% and 0.53% respectively, whilst copper and Brent crude oil are unfortunately in the red. Zimbabwe is once again grappling with 20-hour power cuts with no solution in sight until 2025 at the earliest. News from the African continent follows the break.
Namibians are still safe.
Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments.
By all means, we try to not make journalists public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Ashwyn Mberi, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she's saying, is another thing.
Now, Zimbabwe is once again grappling with 20-hour power cuts with no solution in sight until 2025 at the earliest. It's a long road ahead, Energy Minister Edgar Moyo said. Zimbabwe's peak demand for electricity is 1,850 megawatts, but capacity at the moment falls below 1,200 megawatts from the country's 3 power generation plants, namely the Hwange Thermal Power Station, which produces 674 megawatts, and the Kariba Hydrothermal Power Station, which produces 500 megawatts. Independent power producers are insignificant with 38 megawatts, according to figures released by the Zimbabwe Electricity Supply Authority on Friday. Hwange's Unit 7 was taken off the grid for regular maintenance and will be brought back in a few weeks, but Unit 8 is also due for maintenance. Responding to questions in Parliament, Edgar Moyo said the situation in Kariba, which should normally generate 1,050 megawatts, is worrying. Now, the latest negotiations towards a global treaty to combat plastic pollution opened in Nairobi today. Some 175 countries agreed last year to conclude by 2024 a UN treaty to combat the plastic blighting oceans floating in the atmosphere and infiltrating the bodies of animals and humans. While there is broad consensus, a treaty is needed. There are very different opinions about what should be in it. Negotiators have met twice already, but the November 13 to 19 talks are the first to consider a draft text of the treaty published in September and the policy options it contains. Around 60 so-called higher ambition nations have called for binding rules to reduce the use and production of plastic, which is made from fossil fuels, a measure supported by many environmental groups. Stay with us as we swing over to international news.
Welcome to What's Cooking, where culinary passion meets expert insights.
Somebody must really want to cook and want to cook good food.
Immerse yourself in the bustling world of professional kitchens as top chefs create mouthwatering dishes. Join us for in-depth interviews as our host explores the experiences and expertise of our guest chefs. Don't miss out. Tune in to What's Cooking on NTV every Friday at 2100 hours and let the culinary adventure begin.
Last week, as the Indian capital battled days of toxic air, the city's environment minister said that his government was considering cloud seeding, a rainmaking technique to bring down pollution levels. The plan's fruition will depend on getting approval from India's Supreme Court and possibly a number of federal ministries. If that happens, the scheme may be implemented later this month, depending on weather conditions. This isn't the first time that cloud seeding has been suggested as a possible solution for air pollution in Delhi, but some experts say it is a complicated and expensive exercise whose efficacy is battling pollution is not completely proven, and that more research is needed to understand its long-term environmental impact. But as Delhi's population keeps choking its people and making global headlines, political leaders seem desperate for a solution. Over the past 2 weeks, the city's air quality index, which measures the level of PM2.5 or fine particulate matter in the air, has consistently crossed the 450 mark, nearly 10 times the acceptable limit. And after a brief bout of rain brought down pollution over the weekend, air quality turned hazardous again on Monday as people burst firecrackers to celebrate the Diwali festival. The United States Supreme Court on Monday released its first ever set of ethics rules governing its 9 justices. The 9-page code of conduct comes as the most powerful legal body in America is under increasing scrutiny following recent news reports of gifts and holiday arrangements lavished on several of its jurists. While federal judges on lower courts have been governed by an ethical code since 1973, this marks the first time the country's highest court has set out its own rules. The court had released a statement on ethics principles and practices earlier this year, but Monday's release provides significantly more detail. In a paragraph introducing the guidance, the justices said that they had long abided by unwritten ethical rules derived from a variety of sources, including the lower court code. News from the world of sport follows the break.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the
15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune in to Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
In local sport, the 5th annual Okapia soccer tournament will take place at the 11 Morning Star Sport Field in Ondangwa from 21 to 24 December. 2 soccer competitions are taking place over the 4 days, a veteran soccer competition as well as a youth soccer tournament. Teams from throughout the nation can use it as a platform to scout players during this competition and bolster their squads, organizer Sandro Itana said. The competition is primarily being sponsored by Philip Lucas of Okapia Lena Transport. Now, the weekend saw exciting football matches take place as the FMD Women's Super League kicked off in the capital. All matches were played at University of Namibia Stadium, with Saturday featuring matches between V-Power Angels and Nast Babes. V-Power won the match 4-2. They could have managed more goals, but the team squandered goal-scoring opportunities, which did not please their coach Risto Shikomba. Ongo's ladies won 2-0 against Arrows ladies. Now, Cobra, a self-defense group in Walvish Bay, organized a no-cost event to celebrate International Women's Self-Defense Day on Saturday. The event turned out to be a success, with the main objective being to advocate for female empowerment and self-protection globally. A group of 15 women attended the event. Ray Lagrange was the lead instructor, with several black belts in different disciplines to his name. Chris Profit and Rachel van der Vesthuizen, both certified instructors at an international level, were also a part of the team. Stay with us as we swing over to international sports, starting off with some driving.
We are so excited to be kickstarting your morning with entertainment. Everything was happening during this past weekend.
Yes.
Exciting news.
Wow, no, she was killing it already.
In my opinion, I don't see anything wrong with him serving the full term.
As well as keeping you informed on the issues that you need to know happening in and around our country.
Now, Kenyan driver Karan Patel and his navigator Tausa Khan have been crowned the 2023 Africa Rally Championship winners, beating the other 6 drivers in the event held at Sawo Hill, Mafinga in Iringa last weekend. The ARC title was a 2-horse race between Patel and Mangata, with each passing stage in Tanzania as he settled down and came to terms with the Hyundai. Now, Patel garnered 144 points, followed by Mangata of Uganda, who collected 141 points, and Yasin Nasser from Uganda in third with 114 points. Eritrea have withdrawn from the qualifiers for the 2026 FIFA World Cup just 6 days before the country was due to play their first group's fixture. The unranked East African nation were set to travel to Morocco, who are 13th in the world rankings, on 16th of November. Group E of African qualifiers will now be contested by the 5 remaining teams: Morocco, Zambia, Congo, Tanzania, and Niger. World governing body FIFA confirmed Eritrea's withdrawal on its website. The winners of Group E will automatically qualify for the World Cup finals, which will be held in Canada, Mexico, and United States. Uruguay's record scorer Luis Suarez is back in the squad for the first time since the World Cup after being called up on Monday for their next 2 qualifiers, but Edinson Cavani is out injured. Marcelo Bielsa's 24-man list also included fellow striker Edinson Cavani, but he has withdrawn after a muscle injury in Boca Juniors' 1-0 win over Newell's Old Boys on Sunday. Mexican club Leon Federico Vinas has therefore been drafted in as a late replacement. Stay with us as we head into the highlights from this afternoon's broadcast.
To another exciting episode of Top Jolie. Is die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik kan byt.
Namibians are still safe.
Everywhere else, the Supreme Court said we are not going to rely on foreign judgments.
By all means, we try to not make journalists public figures, but at the end of the day, they are.
Very good evening. My name is Ashwyn Mberi, your host.
With their Protestant offsprings.
But the implementation, like she's saying, is another thing.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1 throughout this broadcast. Let's have a look at the highlights starting out in Zimbabwe, which once again is grappling with 20-hour power cuts with no solution in sight until 2025 at the earliest. Last week, as the Indian capital battled days of toxic air, the city's environment minister said that his government was considering cloud seeding. Now, this is known as a rain-making technique in order to bring down pollution levels. And in local sport, the 5th annual Okapia soccer tournament will take place at the 11 Morning Star Sport Field in Ondangwa from 21 to 24 December. Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa, and the world. Cheers.